Yes, it's another Octa, another crazy day, and we have a lot to get through in a very short amount of time. 53 nuggets, and I'm going to shake it up a little bit today with a little bit of a change in our current programming. We'll be looking heavily at money flows and how long this can continue. It has been nuts, absolutely nuts, like nothing we've ever seen before. And no wonder the price is, well, Bitcoin 106,600. We spent quite a bit of time over 107,000 yesterday. And based on the data, we are going higher. So let's get into it. Thank you as well, Grandad, Soul Strider, T&D Tesla, Sean Donnelly, K8. Everybody else is in here. Victor, the whole team. Let's go. Let's go. This is called Insane Flows. This is not financial advice. Just a guy on the internet. And shout out to Patreon that help produce this show every single day. Falling in love with their content. Thank you, James and team. Just joined Patreon. Thank you, Jane Anderson. We another cool lady in the community. Great. We are now 9% female, 91% male. But we're hoping over time that will grow. So thank you. And the women that we have in the community are the best in the business. Now, today I'm shaking it up a little bit. I'm going to start with the good news because the bad news and the ugly news is really bad and I don't want to depress people. So if you want to knock off after the good news, feel free to do so. Let's tackle the good news first because there's a lot. First of all, Bitcoin. Over the last 7 days, the market, you can see actually Ethereum beat Bitcoin and Bitcoin had a pretty good week. XRP dark green. Solana green, Tron green, etc. So it was a mixed week compared to the previous one. In dollar terms, you can see Bitcoin 106,500 up 0.2%. So it didn't move a lot. XRP is up again on rumors of a ETF, a lot of weird ETF rumors too. ETH just shy of 4,000, up 6% for the week, etc. Sol up about 4% for the week. Not too much, but things are really, despite the market being up so much, people still aren't happy. And I don't know what it'll take to make people happy. This is weird. But we're going to look at the money flow now. And this is kind of bonkers. This is from CoinShares. Digital asset investment products. You saw another continuation of crazy inflows last week, totaling over $3.2 billion. 10th consecutive week with inflows this year so far. This is astonishing. $45 billion. Everybody, $45 billion, mostly chasing a very precious, scarce asset called Bitcoin. Let's look at the money flows themselves. And Ethereum had the best week ever as well. Nearly 1.1 billion into Ethereum. All the TradFi normies are saying, oh, well, this Bitcoin stuff is expensive, so I'm going to buy some Ethereum now. Bitcoin at $2 billion in, year-to-date monstrous, nearly $40 billion, and that includes a huge amount of bleed from Grayscale. XRP, also $145 million in. I have no idea why, but, you know, the people that don't know, and they go into what they think is good, and that's okay. We can't educate everybody. Now, AltSeason is in full swing, which is kind of stunning. We're at 65. We went as high as nearly 90 a few days ago. Crazy, crazy, crazy. But you may not feel it because it's not hitting all the assets at the same time. But it is hitting some peculiar ones too. Again, on hype of, potential ETFs and the new administration and the crypto czar. We'll talk about in a minute too. But the top 50 versus Bitcoin, at the very bottom right-hand side, you got Caspa down 11% for the last 90 days. Considering the bull market, that's very unusual for something to be down so hard. And the winners on the left, you can see ENA, HBAR, XLM, XRP, all the X's that typically did really bad are now doing good, which is very bizarre. Bitcoin and Solana almost tied, up 87% for the last 90 days. Everybody is making money unless you hold Caspa, then you're losing. But just so I say that. Now, the other thing that's really peculiar, what has gone on in terms of money flows, to show you how stark this is, ladies and gentlemen, 21 years of gold accumulation was smoked by Bitcoin ETF accumulation in just 11 months. This is from K33 Research. The world's first gold ETF was launched, I think, around March 2003. So call it 22 years ago. give or take. Then the Spider Gold shares was launched in 2004, 21 years ago, on the New York Stock Exchange, and the total funds within the gold ETF after, say, 21 years on average, maybe 22 years, depending on how you measure, is $128.8 billion. And the Bitcoin ETFs, just 9 US ETFs, $129.25 billion already smoked. I wonder what Peter has to say about that. If anybody's in touch with them, let me know in the comments below. And these puppies are accelerating. They are not slowing down, which is even more bizarre. Prices north of 100 grand, and the speed is going like even more vertical. It's crazy. Shout out to Huddle15. December 16th, $637 million. December 13th, $429 million. December 12th, 509. It's just big numbers, getting bigger every day. But it's not just the ETFs, but we will look at the ETFs now as well, just to show you how crazy the amount of money that is flowing in, and if there will be a supply crunch. Let's look at some of the numbers from my charts. This 6,015 Bitcoin were purchased yesterday alone, but 60,000 were gobbled up in just 13 days. Remember, there's only 164,000 mined a year. Okay, these 9 ETFs in 13 days are sucking in nearly 40% of what's mined in a year. That is absolutely, completely crazy how much they are gobbling down. Now, another view of the action by ETF. You can see the red line here. It's all Blackrock. Blackrock, Blackrock, Blackrock. A little bit of Fidelity, a little bit of ARK, but the rest, the whole story is just BlackRock and how much they're gobbling up. 13 days straight, another new record for the ETFs. We haven't gone 13 straight days positive flow ever. This is history that's broken. Okay, as the price goes up, the demand goes up. It's kind of what we said. The best marketing advertisement for Bitcoin is price. And here we see it. North of 100 grand is like, uh-oh, it's getting expensive. Better get some now. It's like the meme where there's a, Bitcoin at 15,500, nobody in the line. Bitcoin at 100,000, tons of people in the line. That's just how humans work. It's called FOMO. It's fear of missing out, which is the whole breakdown of greed versus fear. Madness. Anyhow, these 13 days represent the biggest streak of inflows ever, okay, in this. And this demand is expected to continue to run. Again, nearly two weeks straight. Will it continue today? I think so. It will. And another view of what's happening in the world, it is not just the ETFs that are buying, okay? More publicly traded companies are coming in. This is a company called Leaf Brands, and they just decided to do a little bit of Bitcoin as a treasury reserve asset, which is crazy, absolutely crazy. Now, there's other good news, which, again, Bitcoin, crypto, politics, they're inextricably linked. If you don't like it, I don't care. But we go from these two, okay, in a very short window of time, to a complete regime change. Now we have these two, Lummis and Sacks. Shout out to Cynthia Lummis and David Sacks from the All In Pod. David Sacks is now the crypto and artificial intelligence czar of the US government. That's why he's not on the All In Pod anymore. He's busy with real stuff. And he's working closely with Cynthia Lummis. And Cynthia is very excited to work closely with David Sacks and pass comprehensive digital asset legislation and a strategic Bitcoin reserve. What these two tried to kill for the last 6 years, these two will make happen. This is historic and very important. So if you don't think politics and Bitcoin are not inextricably linked, well, you're gonna have a rude wake-up call, and that's just how it works. Speaking of politics and crypto, well, Donald J. Trump just met with Chris Marszalek. He is the CEO of Crypto.com, and they discussed the National Bitcoin Reserve proposal and potential of crypto-related administrative roles. This is happening. This is happening. This is now a 40% chance that it's going to go down the first 100 days. Okay? Again, I can't think up better scenarios than we have right now at our fingertips. And this is a chart from Willy Woo. Shout out to Willy. And he talks about the kind of supply shock metrics, and he talks about the first great supply shock, the second great supply shock, and the third great supply shock. It's an interesting chart, but it's kind of hard to read, especially if your eyesight is as poor as mine. But I do want to talk about a couple of things which goes beyond the chart, and that is the supply shocks you need to be aware of is liquid supply shock. This is the metric that compares the number of Bitcoins held by entities considered illiquid, i.e. long-term holders with no intent of selling, to those who are considered liquid, highly liquid, i.e. those more likely to be sold. And Woo has this data. And then you have your other exchange supply shock. This measures the ratio of Bitcoin not available in self-custody storage versus what's available on exchanges. And remember, a lot of people have crypto on exchanges that they have no intention ever of selling. Supply shock is coming, especially when you see the stacking happening like this. And then you see treasuries galore. We have now over 65 public companies stacking Bitcoin hard, not just Saylor and his insane buys. And I guarantee you he was ATMing today and yesterday after being added to the QQQ. Anytime that stock goes up, he sells, buys Bitcoin. So if you're patient and can wait a few weeks, you'll see the reflection in price, and then you'd be just fine. Now, let's talk about narratives and Crypto.com and everything else. Guess which narrative wins the week? You can't make this up, folks. Centralized exchanges win the week. Bunkers. And I hear people ask, what is that? What is that for a category? Well, here's the answer, because I always get the people want to know the breakdown. These are the assets that make up centralized exchanges. They are names like BNB Coin, Binance, OKB, Leo, Kronos, KuCoin, Nexo, Woo, OKT Chain, etc. These are the ones that are going bonkers. They're going off the hook because of stuff like this. It is no coincidence. It is no coincidence. You know, CZ being out of prison and all that type of stuff. It's a different season. It's a different world this time, and it's very, very exciting too. So, I'm going to check in everybody. Bonkers, bonkers, bonkers. Yes, lots of bonkers in the comments because it is. It's a perfect setup. Couldn't be better. Now, action. Where is the action in crypto? If you look at the price, you'd think it's in different places, but if you look at the data, it's not. All of the transactions, all are on Solana. All of the wallet usage is on Solana. All of the DEX volume is on Solana, yada, yada, yada. But we have number 2 is SUI. So here you see all the transactions, 3.6 billion transactions on Solana and 685 million on SUI. And then near 562, Aptos 239, etc. So there's still one chain that is kind of doing it all and another chain behind. And in full disclosure, I own those top 2 as well. Not by chance, but by data. And in terms of fees as well, another stunning statistic. This is the fees of all crypto, all layer 1s. Solana generates more fees than all other layer 1s combined. And what's interesting about this is how the fees actually accrue to the layer 1 chain. And we go back into the old world and think of FAT protocols in the internet stack. The fees do not accrue to those with the actual networks. But in crypto, it's very different. In crypto, the token and its stakers actually participate in the fees through things like MEV, miner extraction value, and other fees. And this combination of factors explains why Solana has managed to generate $431 million in fees in the past 30 days. That is nearly 54% of the global L1 fee pool, outpacing all other L1 blockchains combined. And I believe firmly that this is not priced in. The chain is still selling way too cheap. Somehow prices being suppressed, or somehow people have no idea how to appraise stuff. I feel like it's the type of stuff I was saying when Solana was at $8. It doesn't make any sense. It still doesn't make any sense, despite the fact it's a lot higher right now. Anyway, moving on. There is something that's also happening. A huge airdrop happened today. It's called Punji Penguins. I don't talk about this, but it's free money. If you've ever done a swap on if you've ever used Phantom, swap on Phantom, use Jupiter, or you have Bonk or whatever else, you get free penguins. And I was kind of stunned how many free penguins I got today. So be careful though. Go to Phantom Wallet, understand how it works. Do not click on a fake Pingu. Go to the link in the Phantom Wallet. Go to the official website. And be careful. Connect your wallet after you're done with your business. Disconnect your wallet. Okay, never leave a live wallet open. Now let's look at some more stuff. Fear and greed. Still incredibly high. Skipping stones. Thanks for coming. Fear and greed is 87%. Wow. 1 month ago, we were at 90. So it's still way up there. The market is nuts. And it's rare you see fear and greed being so high for over a sustained period as now, which is really interesting. Let's look at a couple of stocks because we've got some super crazy nuts happening, bonker stuff here. This is the stock market performance over the last 90 days. One of those assets has gone up 110.51%, and that's Tesla. More than doubled in 90 days. And all of that action happened basically since November 5th, about 5 weeks ago. And as I say, risk happens fast. Other stuff, Microsoft pretty much flat, Apple up 14%, Nvidia up 14%, Google 27%, Meta 19%, Amazon 23%. But you can see here, the reason I point this out, big tech dominates. It's where all the money is going in. I'll prove that now in a second. This is from Liz Ann Saunders. She has some of the best findings as well. This is from Arbor Data as well. Investors keep pouring money into U.S. large caps, which took in the most in terms of equity ETF inflows over the past week. Oh, by the way, speaking of equity ETF inflows, QQQ is one. Money is going to be flowing into that too, because that is predominantly big cap, which means MicroStrategy will be getting more money too to buy more Bitcoin. It's all connected. It's all connective tissue. It's very important when investing to understand how things are interrelated. Very important. You cannot turn a blind eye to one sector because everything is connected. Another proof point as well. This is also pretty stunning. This is the growing influence of US big tech in the global stock market. The combined market cap of US big tech giants, the big seven, all right, including Tesla, has surged from 2% of the global stock market in 2012 to over 15% today. This is their expanding global influence. And again, you had all the weirdos saying, oh, Tesla doesn't deserve to be part of the Mag 7. It should just be the Mag 6. Well, where are those idiots now after these returns? Yeah, they go very quiet all of a sudden. And once again, the Trump trade is breaking. Oh, I can say the word now because I don't care before you get silenced or whatever. Anyway, this is absolutely incredible. This is from Kobesi. Shout out to Sanjay as well. U.S. equity ETF and mutual fund inflows hit a record $186 billion over the last 9 weeks. Coincidence? November 5th, etc. This is $22 billion higher than the previous record of $144 billion in Feb 2021. This is also more than double the average flow seen in the first half of the year. Equity fund inflows have been a huge driver of the broader market rally this year, especially for underweight stocks like Tesla. Retail investors had half. They're not selling. They're waiting for much, much larger numbers. And now you see institutional FOMO and you see money going into funds. And as price goes up, a lot of people do passive investing. They own ETFs like QQQ and S&P 500 ETFs. And all that money is flowing into the big names that control the big part of the market, which is seen here, not just in the US, but also globally, and also Mag 7. That's the story. Now, there is, speaking of another name that's going to benefit from all of this, Michael Saylor. Quick update on MicroStrategy. I'm your Huckleberry. Thanks for coming. Year to date, MicroStrategy Treasury operations delivered a Bitcoin yield of 72.4%, a net benefit of 137,000 Bitcoin to the shareholders. I'll be updating the sats per share once I get a minute to breathe. That'll be coming later today or tomorrow on Patreon. But at 107K per Bitcoin, that equates to nearly $15 billion in value for the year. Again, when you get into buying a share of MicroStrategy early, your sats per share keeps growing, okay? So even though you may buy, say now at $400 or $390 or whatever, 3 months from now, you are going to get more sats per share than you did before. That's just how it works. Okay? So be patient, everybody. The results will come in time. And by the way, it's not even added to the QQQ yet, which is also bizarro. And I can almost guarantee everybody, next Monday, he will announce another buy this week. Another $1.5, $2, $3, $4 billion, another 15,000 Bitcoin, maybe more. That's what's going to happen. It is crazy. And then there's all the fear and all the FUD. As I said, I think it was Sunday. I spend most, I try not to do, I don't do it anymore. I don't have time for it. I used to have to spend a lot of time dispelling FUD. Now I don't care. But this is from Kyung-gu from CryptoQuant. He says, the MicroStrategy risks bankruptcy only if an asteroid hits. Bitcoin has never fallen below long-term investors' average buy price of $30,000. It was $7 billion in debt and Bitcoin holdings at $4.6 billion. Liquidation only happens if Bitcoin drops to 16,500 or less. Remember, I believe, and I said this over a month ago, the new floor price for Bitcoin is $70,000. For those who are hoping to buy back in at 42,000 or 30,000, it's not going to happen. 70,000 is my floor. I said it here live. Unless something catastrophic happens like World War III or something, then that wager's off the table. And shout out to a friend of the channel, Jeff Lutz. He believes the future is insane. And he was retweeted by Elon yesterday, which is cool. What Tesla gigafactories are going to do within about a year with this new approach to manufacturing, starting with the Cybercab, then Optimus. This is the most under-discussed story maybe in all of tech and maybe ever. Optimus. We know the Cybercab is coming. You can see them running around all over the world. They're in malls. They're running around Texas. It's only a matter of time. The old joke was Elon always delivers, but he's always late or something. Now, lately, he's been early or on time, which is bizarre. And then this just hit, which is huge news that you will not see picked up by the media. We'll talk about that in a second, too. This from Dan Neistat. The TSMC chairman, Wei, met with Elon Musk last week to discuss the production capacity for Dojo AI chips. These are the new 5-nanometer process, and they're going to be used apparently in the humanoid robots, not cars, Optimus robots. And the report says Dojo chips will be the future brains of the Optimus, just as they power FSD for self-driving in Tesla cars. So we'll see. This is the translation of this article, but it's big. But what it basically hints at, if it's true, if this article is true, it means Optimus robots will be mass-produced next year. And the question was, can TSMC deliver? And TSMC said, yes, we can. And that means the price of Tesla today is dirt cheap, with analysts only predicting $550 to $650 when we know it's going much, much higher. Crazy time. Now, in reflection of this too, you can see a lot of really wild call option action on Tesla. This, for example here, you got the April 2025 $500 strike calls. Somebody went out and bought 3,000 of them, 3,000 call options. And then you've got the 490s, another 2,000 of those. You've got another 2,000 of 360s, 350s, 2,000. It's just people are YOLOing into calls. But in the bear market, we did that and we stacked so many leap options on Tesla. It's not even funny. Again, it's like the meme. When it's cheap, nobody wants to buy. When it gets expensive, every FOMO's in. Anyway, more on that too. And the European Union believe they can beat SpaceX starting in 2030, which is so far away. The EU Iris 2 constellation is expected to come online in 2030. Hang on, let me check my watch now. That's 6 years from now. How far along will SpaceX be by then? The answer is you can't catch up. It's an unassailable lead. I hope they're not using your government tax dollars to go down this path. Why don't you just partner instead of reinventing the wheel? SpaceX is literally too far ahead. Here, this is a new breakthrough too. There's now a test open for T-Mobile phone users where you can actually try Starlink-enabled phone service for free during the beta, which is really cool. Now, no matter where you are, if you have access to a Starlink satellite, i.e. you're out in the forest somewhere where there's no antennas for your terrestrial cell phone service, you'll have connection. And the reason I think for me why this is so important is I've been stranded in the boonies before where there is no cell phone signal. You know, you could have a flat tire or a car breakdown, like a fuel pump go or something. Back in the days when I had gas cars. Big long story. I finished a half Ironman triathlon and got stuck in the boonies with a dead fuel pump and a car. And I was exhausted. Anyway, now you can call emergency service no matter where you are. So this is huge, huge for both T-Mobile and Starlink. And speaking of Europe too, Tether are promoting stablecoins in the EU, which is awesome. Tether is investing in stable IR to promote this as well. Again, it'll take a while to get the European Union government to come on board, but there are things changing over there. There is a bit of also a regime change. People are getting fed up with what's going on. So expect some things different. And also, Ron Paul is getting fed up with our own US government here. We should wean ourselves off the Fed like we weaned ourselves off the mainstream media. That's one powerful sentence right there. Yes, Ron Paul for the win per Elon Musk. Massive news. Now, I did warn you, ugly news is coming. That was the good news segment. Ready for the ugly? Let's go. Sorry, the bad first. First of all, the labor market. As we've been discussing, I do my labor videos about once every quarter. All the data is BS. Now we're seeing how shaky the market is. Another classic leading indicator for the labor market is looking very shaky. This is the job finding rate. Collapsed over the last 2 months. I shared some other job reports within Patreon over the last week. But this is probably why the Fed will continue to cut rates. Because they don't have inflation under control. The magical unicorn 2% not going to happen. It's going higher now. Okay, it's just the nature of money printing. Makes everything more expensive. And U.S. manufacturing is also toast from Kathy Jones. Disappointing manufacturing numbers this morning. Industrial production declined for the third straight month, and capacity utilization fell to its lowest level since April 2021. And we know how bad manufacturing was utilized in April 2021 when supply chains were destroyed and factories were closed for weird reasons and stuff like that. But we're not going to get into that right now. And other news in the car business. Mixing two dogs with fleas never works. That's my old adage. Japan's Honda and Nissan begin merger talks per Nikkei. They're both dying. They're both losing money. They think putting them together will help. No, not going to help. Never does. Never will. So that's just how the world works. And this is the problem. China is now dominating all manufacturing, including autos, which is hurting Europe and Japan and the US, with the exception of one company called Tesla. No surprise there. Now, ugly news, then I'll wrap everybody. Sorry, a lot to cover today. Token unlocks, QAI, anything with an AI in the name, be careful. It's normally BS. Never heard of QAI. ENA, big in the news lately, but their tokenomics is horrible. Cardano unlocks, MRS, Eigen also unlocking all the time. Optimism, Sui, Zeta, DYDX, and Caspa unlocking too. So they are the unlocks for the week. Be careful if you're in them. And shout out to Marty Party. He had this cool little tweet. Again, shout out to Sanjay as well for sharing. On the way out the door, President Biden calls for a ban on congressional stock trading. Nobody in Congress should be allowed to make money in the stock market while they're in Congress. We not idiots, Joe. Where was this policy in 2020? Members of Congress and the Senate have been making money on inside information in governments since the beginning of time. Nancy Pelosi herself has made nearly, I think it's nearly $1 billion or $500 million just on trading and insider information. And I followed her into Palo Alto Networks, which worked out really well. So she knows her stuff. They know what's coming. But why all of a sudden now? It's as if you've ever been to a party and you got people that go there early, they eat all the food, they drink all the booze, and then they take a dump on the floor, and then they leave right when they're done. This is kind of what's happening. Recluse man, thank you. Long time no see up there in Canada. Good to see you, and I hope the butterflies are doing well. And this also, again, all this weird stuff is coming to light. And I wasn't even aware of this. If I was, I would have been very upset a long time ago. But per Mario Nuffel, Biden paid Reuters $300 million to investigate Elon and gave them a Pulitzer Prize for doing it. This is what they call lawfare. He was tortured and punished under this administration. Now the tables have turned. And yes, I like Elon Musk. No, I don't like these guys because of the games they play and how they have a different set of rules for themselves that they apply to everybody else. If you do not toe their party line, take it. Anyway, very political. I did warn you this would get bumpy. But hey, my job is to report truth, and that's it. A little bit of sad news too for those who are looking to buy their castle. And despite rates being cut, I expect a rate cut tomorrow of another 25 basis points. Mortgage rates are not falling despite the rate cuts. Fannie Mae expect their predictions for 2025 to be 6.2 to 6.6, First American 6 to 6.5, Housing Wire up to 7.25, etc. It's not looking good because nobody wants to hold long-term paper because they know how bad the deficits are. They know how much money is being printed. It's ugly out there. This is why these long-term rates were not coming down. So cash is king if you want to buy a house. You don't want to be paying a 7% mortgage rate. And in certain places as well, because of inflation, house prices have gone up. So these are for conforming mortgages. If you want to spend 800 grand or something, 900 grand on a house, it's going to be even higher. Anyway, thank you all for coming. All these videos are turned into Substacks and podcasts. Thank you to the team that runs that behind the scene. You're supporting them. Thank you all. And hit the like, subscribe. I'll love you all and leave you. The 7,000 people watching live, thank you all for coming. Thank you to the mods in the chat. Hello from all over the world. Hello Ireland, hello UK, hello Scotland, hello Wales, hello Netherlands, Spain, Liverpool, and everywhere else. Thank you all. Have a good night.